Hello, corporate badasses. I'm so excited to be here with you this Friday. I'm going to be talking to you today live about how being too good at your job is actually holding you back from a promotion, from receiving success at the next level of leadership. Um, let's see, okay, there we go. I'm all set. Going live, there can be some technical difficulties, but we're here. So who am I? My name is Stacey Mayer. I am not even self-appointed. I was appointed this title about 5 years ago of Chief Corporate Badass. And essentially what I do is I help other corporate badass women get promoted into higher levels of leadership. I'm the best-selling author of Promotions Made Easy, a step-by-step guide to the executive suite. And I am the host of Women Changing Leadership, that has been a podcast for over 5 years. We have over 300 episodes that have been supporting women just like you to get not only those promotions of higher levels, but to really have a voice. And one of the things that I personally love so much about my executive promotion process is that it helps you be good at your job once you get there. But today I'm going to talk about how there are some ways that you're currently too good at your job and it's keeping you stuck exactly where you are. Now, we're live here today, so that means you can ask me questions, drop it in the chat, and I'm just going to get started with that. If you're ready, just say, hey, hi. Let me know where you're from. And if there are any questions or anything that you agree with where you're like, heck yeah, or that happened to me, I encourage you to drop that in the chat as well today. So why is this so important? Well, the biggest reason why I want to share this information with you today is because it was a huge eye-opener for me at one point as a coach. And I know that executive level communication means that you speak above your subject matter expertise. So if you're somebody who's been feeling like you're drowning in the details, or maybe you've been told before that you're too far into the weeds in your communication, or you don't need to tell us all the details about how you're doing the work. We just want to know at a high level. Then you're somebody who knows that executive communication means that you speak at a higher level. But it was a really big eye-opener a few years ago when I realized that this is a real, actual, tangible problem for my clients who want to be promoted. So let me give you the scenario. Again, real scenario, vice president of operations, a woman I was working with one-on-one as my client. And we had met for like 3 weeks and put together a promotion plan, because she reports directly to the CEO. They do not have a chief operations officer at her organization. Her CEO, it's a small division of her company, so it made sense that they didn't have a formal COO. But she wanted that seat at the table. She wanted that voice. And her CEO, who again is her boss, was always telling her how great of a job that she was doing. And she felt like she had asked for promotions in the past, but nothing was coming to fruition, right? Nothing was coming to be. And so then she hired me as her coach, like, hey, what's wrong? And so I was like, oh, you can do this, you can do this to negotiate your salary, you can do this to do a better ask, right? Like maybe he's just not clear that you actually want a promotion. And then as part of our coaching engagement, I do stakeholder interviews. So I interviewed her boss, her CEO. I got on the phone with him, and in this interview, we're talking about what does she need to change if she wants to lead at a higher level. And he was like, nothing at all. Everything that she's doing is amazing. So then you're sort of like, well, what does she need to change? And he's like, well, I actually just don't have anybody to be her successor. And I was like, wait, what? And the funny thing is, he had never told her this, right? Like why would somebody tell you, right? So if you're that person, like if nobody else can do your job, hello, you cannot be promoted, right? If nobody else can do your job, you cannot be promoted. So this is something that you need to hold on to. So then I was like, really? So if she had a successor, she's done everything that she can do. She just needs a successor and then she will be promoted. And he said, well, yeah. He's like, I just have nobody else who can do her job. Okay. So that seems pretty simple. But I go back to her and I'm like, hey, listen, this is what your boss said. You just need a successor. She's like, I have a successor. And I was like, you do? And she's like, well, yeah, he should know that. The truth was, he didn't know that. He didn't know what her succession plan was. And so that was my wake-up call. Here we did. We made up this. I mean, it had only been 3 weeks, but we made this elaborate plan of all these ways that she was going to fix herself, right? Be a better leader, communicate at that executive level, right? And all she needed to do was to tell her boss that she had a succession plan. That's it. That is all she had to do. Guess what? We put together her succession plan. She scheduled a meeting with her CEO. Actually, it was a call that she had with him on a Saturday because that was the only time she could get in front of him, even though he was her boss, right? She was still the main decision maker calling all the shots. So she scheduled a call with him on his day off as he was traveling. And she told him strictly about her succession plan. And then within I think it was 45 days later, she was promoted. She was promoted to senior vice president and the lead over an entire operations function, which is what she had been trying to get for a while, right? So I want you to see that sometimes, and I'm not saying all the time, being too good at our job could be the thing that is keeping us back from having success. I'm going to repeat it again. If you don't have a succession plan, there is nobody else who can do your job. Now, this is really a different way of thinking about promotions and leadership and recognition because, you don't want to work yourself out of a job, right? So if you start talking about your succession plan, doesn't it seem obvious that you would then no longer be needed? And the truth is no. As long as you're communicating about what you're going to do next. All right. As long as you're communicating about the impact you could be making if you were freed up on the bottom. Isn't this exciting? This is so exciting because I know if you're listening to me today, and hi, Natalie, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Continue saying hi. If this resonates with you, if this has ever happened to you, please let us know in the chat because we all need to know that we're not alone, right? But you, if you're listening, you are probably really great at your job. Every single woman that I work with is a corporate badass. And I mean that. I can tell when I'm talking to women on the phone if they're good at their job. And so we're starting from this basic level that you are excellent at your job. And if you're excellent at your job, not only are you ready to get promoted, but it could be the thing that's holding you back from getting that promotion. So I want to give you, in addition to, just letting your boss know about your succession plan, which is just like an easy no-brainer if you haven't had a conversation with your boss, if you're just having conversations about your promotion plan, but you've never talked about a succession plan and who's going to do your job after you leave, I encourage you to make that a part of your development conversations tomorrow, this Saturday, if you will, right? Because that could be the thing that is going to push you over the edge. Now, I'm coming to you live today also because I want everybody to hear this. I want this public service announcement to be out there, spread wide for all of you women who are really great at your job, exactly what could be holding you back from being promoted into higher levels of leadership. But I want to kind of go into more details of this, right? I want to help you specifically. So let's say you do have a promotion plan with your boss. Let's say you do have a succession plan with your boss. But then there's other things that could be going on for you. Maybe you don't have enough resources to have a succession plan. Maybe you're so stressed out and overwhelmed that you can't even raise your hand for a promotion because you couldn't possibly take on more responsibility. Maybe there's no promotion pathway for you, like your boss is the vice president and you can't get promoted into your boss's job. any of these scenarios, all of these scenarios could be true for you personally. And so next week on Wednesday, I am offering a small group, teeny tiny small group. By teeny tiny, I mean maxed out at 20 individual women, where we're going to deep dive into your particular promotion strategy and how you can begin to create this promotion pathway for yourself over the next 30 days. So not only in this small group intensive in 1 hour, we're going to go deep into what you can specifically do over the next 30 days. So by the end of March, not only do you have a specific promotion pathway, but you are going to be able to actually spell it out for your boss exactly how your boss is going to be able to implement that for you, so that you might get promoted before your next performance review. How amazing would that be, right? All right, so in this intensive, we are going to talk about prioritization, delegation. Here's another thing that a lot of women don't do very well. They'll delegate to their team, but does anybody know about your delegation process? Again, you don't want to come off as somebody who's like giving away all your work. So then you don't communicate up exactly how you are going to lead at that next level of leadership. And then guess what? They bring in somebody else to do the job above you, right? Because they just think you're doing it all. And in order to show up as that next level leader, you have to communicate to your boss exactly your delegation plan, how you're prioritizing, how you're thinking about leadership, and then where you fit in the leadership structure going forward. Is this fun? This is so much fun for me. I absolutely love talking promotion strategy. I love thinking outside of the box. These are not obvious tools to people. They think that, you wait till your performance review, your boss calls the shots. If your boss says, maybe you can't be promoted until you have, until, like, let's say there's a hiring freeze at your organization, or I've gotten women promoted during massive layoffs, periods of massive layoffs. Now, my heart goes out to all of the people who are laid off, but I'm also very excited about the one person who got promoted during those layoffs, because now when she's in that higher level leadership position, she can bring on her friends. Like, I have a woman who was just hired. I think her start date was February 25th. Congratulations to her at her new organization as a vice president. And she is tasked with hiring a team of 5 individuals, right? So now not only was she on the job search path, and that's what we were working on 101, but now she is able to bring those people onto her team and she gets to give back, right? So how amazing would that be if not only did you get hired into a higher level leadership position, but you were able to give back to lots of other people. So that is the thing that we're going to be talking about, is that plan for you personally next Wednesday. I want you to go to staceymayer.com/weeds so that you can learn how to pull yourself out of the weeds forevermore, so that you're not the only person who can do your job. Now, as we're heading out today, I want to leave you with one final thing. So we already talked about the easy peasy. You're going to go to your boss and talk about your succession plan. The other thing I'd love for you to do over the next week is to think about, when you are in conversations with your boss or a higher level leader at your organization, are you mostly walking through your to-do list, or are you giving that higher level strategy? Now, I'm not talking about the entire call. Like, I understand that your one-on-one time is valuable and you have questions to ask your boss and you have to go through your checklist and all of that. But are you talking about what it actually means to do the work that you're doing? Like, what is the impact of your work? On next week's intensive, I'm going to talk about the communication shift that you can do immediately in your one-on-ones that is just going to flip all of your conversations on their head, right? So if not only do you want the recognition that you deserve, if you want the pay that you deserve, whether you're currently unemployed looking for a higher level leadership position, or you're working at an organization thinking about your next promotion, then this intensive next week is going to be for you. We're going to be mapping out your 30-day promotion blueprint so that you can set yourself up as that strategic leader and not just the subject matter expert. So go to staceymayer.com/weeds. Again, your homework assignment for this week is to talk about your succession plan or write it out. Even if you're not ready to talk about it, figure it out for yourself. Who's going to do your job when you get promoted? And then the second thing is to really think about your one-on-one conversations and how far into the weeds. Is it 80%? Is it 95%? Is it 100% of the conversation? And we're going to single-handedly switch that next week. If you are, I know we already have people registered for this event. If you are registered, if you are joining us next Wednesday, I would like you to put lead into the comments. That way we can celebrate you. We can know that you're joining us. You can do that right now. Or even if you're watching the replay, as soon as you sign up, I want you to put lead in the comments so that we can cheer you on. And that's your first proclamation that you are ready for something more in your career, right? You're ready to take ownership of your career and step into higher level leadership. So I can't wait to meet you or see you next week on our call. And otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Bye.